Hi, my beautiful friend. This is The Art of the Signature Style, a masterclass in the timeless brilliance of the beautiful, beautiful Diane Keaton. I certainly did not anticipate making this masterclass this week. Firstly, I did not anticipate sending you a masterclass when we are only 3 weeks into our new cohort of Unlock Your Signature Style. I did not anticipate giving you more trainings to go through. So here we are. But I, of course, did not anticipate. There's no words for how my heart feels to think about what we were going to talk about in this training, but I certainly did not anticipate us coming together to learn through Diane's example. But what a beautiful example she gives us. What a beautiful opportunity she gives us to come together to learn and to think about somebody who so beautifully exemplifies everything that we are doing with all of the work that we do inside of this community. Diane, to me, has been somebody who has inspired my entire career. The whole time I've been a personal stylist, I have looked to Diane as somebody who just, we'll talk about this, but she just gets it. The level of seriousness, the level of conviction, the level of certainty, the level of commitment. She's somebody who just gets it. And so for my entire career, I have looked to her. I think any woman who I see who is doing something seriously, like serious is a word that I love. If you read my emails, if you are on calls with me, you know that that is true. Any woman who does something seriously, any woman who takes herself seriously, her work seriously, her craft, her image, her representation of self, her style, yeah, I admire women like that. And that's exactly who Diane was. So for that, I'm excited for us to be able to talk about her today, to learn through what she did. There's nobody, in my opinion, who better exemplifies the work that we do here. There's nobody who better exemplifies the foundation of what it is that I want to give you always. Her ability to, excuse me, my throat is very off today. So if my speaking is disjointed, that's part of the reason why. There's nobody who better exemplifies her ability to define the signature style, her ability to then effectively execute the signature style, meaning it's not only that she was able to say, this is my signature style, but her ability to bring it to life. When I say execute, that's what I mean. Her ability to do those two things is at the foundation of everything that I teach you, but then take it one step further. Her ability to act as her own personal stylist, even though she was not trained as a stylist. This is the foundation of every single thing that we do here, which tells me there's no better person for us to learn from. And I would say there's no better way to celebrate the legacy of Diane than to learn from what she did so brilliantly. When I was making these slides, and I will tell you, let me put a pin in what I was going to say, and let me tell you that part of the reason why my throat hurts is because I didn't sleep last night. I made this whole masterclass in one day, and now I'm recording it on the next day. I put the slides together, everything that I wanted to talk about. So I will say, usually with a masterclass, I spend a lot of time preparing for them, practicing what I want to say, paying attention to the sequencing, moving slides around, making sure everything makes sense for you. I have not done any of that for this masterclass, and I haven't slept. So if my speaking is off, if I forget what I'm saying, if I'm all over the place more than usual, I already have a very casual way of teaching. I never edit my videos. I never cut them up in multiple takes. You get one take. What you see is what you get in this masterclass. If that's a little bit all over the place, even more than usual, I apologize in advance and I thank you for your grace. But when I was making the slides, I was collecting so many pictures of her. There's so many slides because I wanted to use as many pictures as I possibly could. I was putting all her pictures in, and I was thinking, I bet she would be so proud of our community. Not because we're sitting here looking at her as a style example. And we'll talk about this, but she was a little bit uncomfortable with having the attention be on her. There was insecurities within her that made her feel uncomfortable around that. So I don't know that she would be proud of us for all coming together to study her, although maybe she would be. I would be if I was her. I think she would be so proud of us for being women who come together and learn at the level that we do, the level of seriousness that we do, the conviction that we do. I think she would look at the work that we do in our community and say, just like I'm saying about her, these are women who really get it. So that's what I want to be able to do in this masterclass. In addition to honoring her legacy, I also want us to be able to recalibrate to our why. So why is it that we do the work that we do in this community at the level and depth that we do? There is nowhere else in the style industry where women are educating themselves at the level that we are educating ourselves inside of Unlock Your Signature Style. And even if you are not inside of USS yet, or you never join USS, the conversations that we have in this community, even outside of USS, like a masterclass, like the one we're going to have here, are unlike anything that is being had anywhere else in the style industry. I want you to recalibrate to why it is you are here doing this kind of work here. You could be anywhere else learning style at a very surface level understanding, but you chose to be here in a place that we learn it higher than anywhere else. Why is that? I want this masterclass to be an opportunity for you to recalibrate to your why. This is not going to be a class in theory. It's not going to be a class in fundamentals. I'm not going to be, this is not a how to kind of class. This is an energetics kind of class. We're feeling the energy. We're feeling the motivation. We're feeling the excitement of the brilliance of, am I saying that right? In the brilliance of Diane's work. So no matter where you are in your journey right now, excuse me, if you've just joined USS and you're a couple weeks into your first cohort, wonderful. If you've been with me in USS for years and you feel like I've kind of fallen off, lost my motivation, haven't looked at the work for a while, haven't been feeling as great in my style, let this be your opportunity to get back on track. You are one of my OGs and you have been in USS since day one, and you have not taken your foot off the gas since day one, and you know who you are, speaking directly to you. Push down on the gas harder. We push further. We use her brilliance to be an opportunity to push further. You've not yet joined USS. You've been sitting on the fence. You're not sure if it's for you, or you're just brand new into this community. Somehow you ended up on my email list yesterday, and this is the first time you're ever hearing from me. And now you've got this masterclass. Buckle up. You get to see the level that we work at in this community. You get to experience firsthand how it is that we change the style, that we develop the signature style, which is exactly what we are going to learn through everything that Diane did. We're going to look at her style and we are going to use the exact same USS process that we use in this entire community. Even when I am teaching a masterclass outside of USS, we still use the same process. There's one process for developing a signature style. It doesn't deviate. Diane's didn't deviate, it's the same process. So we're going to look at that process through the lens of what Diane did. We're going to do a case study in her style, but we're not going to be looking at how do we replicate Diane's style. We're going to be thinking about how do we understand the process that she followed and then begin to apply it to ourselves so that the results that she experienced, we can begin to experience as well. I'm going to take a 2-second. I can't fit my water. Usually I don't have my headset on when we're on calls, usually only when I'm recording. I couldn't fit my water around my microphone. I apologize if that looked crazy. So we're going to start with defining what the signature style is. Signature style is one cohesive, identifiable look. It tells one story of one woman, and it is the external representation of her internal self. One look, one story, one woman. Not two stories, not 10 different looks, one look that translates across everything, one story, one woman. We use 6 ingredients to bring the signature style to life. All 6 are required. We do not deviate from the 6, and the 6 occur in, as you can see on my screen, I don't know if that's mirrored. For me, it's mirrored, but all 6 work in a sequence, meaning we work on ingredient number 1, message, before we start working on ingredient number 2, look at the style. We'll work on 1 and 2, and we must have 1 and 2 locked in before we get to number 3, body. We do 1, 2, 3 before. We're never on 5 without doing 1 through 4. So everything that we do follows a very specific sequence. It's the exact same process that Diane followed. We're going to look at that process through the work she did, and we're going to start to see how we can apply it to ourselves. So when used intentionally, the signature style becomes a powerful tool that you are known for, because, and I say this to you all the time, you are already known for the way that you are presenting yourself. Whether you like hearing me say that or not, that is a fact. You're already known for presenting yourself a certain way. So when you spend the time to develop a signature style in the way that Diane did, you become known for that, and you are then able to control your own narrative. You tell your own story. She knew this, and she knew this very well. We're going to see a ton of pictures, as I said, of her from day one, beginning of her career. It's not like this just happened when she blew to like a huge, huge celebrity and then she started thinking about this. She knew this all along. She controlled the narrative. She told the story. She understood that the way she presented herself told the story of who she was regardless. She decided that I am intentionally telling a story. I am in control of my own narrative. So as we start to begin this introductory part of the training, I want you to think about, what is the story that you are telling? As always, we're going to look at that with a neutral awareness. We're not looking at it from judgment. We're not looking at it from, oh crap, I haven't been thinking about this and she's been thinking about it all along. We're just looking at it with a neutral awareness. What is the story that I'm telling? If I know that no matter what, I'm telling a story, what is the one that I'm currently telling? Diane's story didn't have anything to do with, first and foremost, her age. We all know that I love to talk about that fact, not just about Diane, but everyone. That this piece around age, us disqualifying ourselves because of age, I'm no longer included in the style industry because what? I'm over the age of 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. She didn't say that. She didn't say when I turned 40, I no longer get to have my signature style. She didn't say when I'm 50, when I'm 60, when I'm 70, when I'm 79. She didn't say that. She said, I'm in control of my own narrative always. Had nothing to do with her age, nothing to do with trends. What I mean by trends is she's not deviating to, oh, the style industry says this is relevant right now. The entertainment industry says every other woman who wants to be cast in a leading part looks like. No. Her story had everything to do with, and I want you to think about these words: intentionality, commitment, choice, seriousness. Serious, my favorite word. Intentionality, commitment, choice, and seriousness. Nothing was left to chance. Nothing was about guessing. Nothing was about mediocrity. What I mean by mediocrity is, for her, it wasn't about, oh, it's just good. This'll do. It's good enough. No. Nothing was about fitting in. It was about, I take ownership of the way the world sees me, and I take ownership, more importantly, of the way that I see myself. Because when the style is properly executed, it becomes the truest representation of who you are. That is the power of authenticity. That is the power of what she did. When the signature style is properly executed, it becomes the truest representation of self because it is built off of telling a story of who you are. The world responds to authentic women. The world responded to Diane because she was authentic in who she was. It's not about the particular clothing. It's not about the world saying, oh, it's the red leather jacket with the matching red hat. Now I'm going to respond to her accordingly. It's not that. It's the intentionality, commitment, choice, and seriousness that the world responds to. People are always responding to what I'm trying to point to you in that. I keep looking down in the bottom because I'm trying to look into my tiny little video screen. People are responding to what you are giving them, to what you are emitting. And they are not, the mistake we are so commonly making is thinking that they are responding to the particular type of clothing or the particular outfit or the particular style type combination or the particular aesthetic. She is the perfect example of that. That is so often not the case. People are responding to the potency of your story. They're responding to your conviction. They are responding to your certainty. They are responding to your ability to be at home with your self expression. They are responding to your representation of self. They are responding to your unequivocal decision to be who you are. The world responds in kind to women like that, doesn't it? Authentic women, women who are okay with who they are, at home with who they are, who have made peace with who they are. That is the work that we are doing here. When you haven't done this work, it looks like jumping on every trend and overbuying. I don't know what the style is. I don't know if this is how I want to represent myself. Oh, somebody said this is in stock. It's barrel leg jeans now. Let me get on. Oh, we're back on skinny jeans. I better go to that. Did you ever see Diane doing this? Oh, everyone's doing straight. Okay, now I got to no straights out, throw them away. Okay, it's wide leg jeans now. Okay, let me do that. Did she ever do that? No, because it was certainty within her own self, certainty within her own decisions. When you have not done this work, it will look like jumping over every trend, jumping on every trend, and overbuying, buying more in hopes of maybe if maybe I'm missing the right thing. If I just get the right thing, then I'll have my style. Number 2, questioning your choices. When you have not defined what your signature style is and then effectively implemented it or executed it, you will always question your choices. You will always feel like I must be doing something wrong because this doesn't feel right. It's never actually that the thing is right or wrong. It's that you haven't done the foundational work that we're going to talk about inside of this training in order to lay the groundwork for the signature style. Number 3, rarely feeling put together. When you haven't done this work, put something on and it will just feel flat. It will feel unput together. It will feel haphazard. It will feel sloppy, rarely put together. And then number 4, you will assume that other people are judging you. For everyone who's listening to me, who's been listening in on the Pathways recordings, there are so many recordings that have come in around that. I don't want to change my style because I'm scared of what other people will think. I don't want to push myself because I'm scared of what other people will think. I tried it once and I was so cognizant of what other people were thinking that I reverted back to what I was doing before. When you haven't done the foundational work, the judgment that you're holding within yourself, I always say, I've said it a million times in Pathways, the call is coming from inside the house. The judgment that you feel will get mirrored into the external world, and you will assume that other people are judging you. They're not. Go listen to Pathways. There's a million recordings about this. They're not judging you. The call is coming from inside the house, and it's because you have not made that unequivocal decision within yourself. This is the story I'm telling. She knew that her style and the way that she presented herself was one of the most powerful tools that she had at her disposal, and so she figured it out. She says, I had no doubt. I could be the person I wanted to be if I applied Cary Grant's concept that clothes make the man, or in my case, clothes make the woman. It wasn't about the particular clothes, it was about finding the right clothes that told her story. She used her style as what she often called a suit of armor to speak on her behalf from day one, very beginning. Look at the oldest pictures we can find of her, and we see it happening all the way back then. She used her style as a suit of armor to speak on her behalf, to tell the world, to control that narrative, to tell the world who she was as she built her confidence. She's been very vocal. If you read her interviews, watch interviews, read interviews, she was very vocal about many of the insecurities that she had when she was younger and still had throughout her entire life around the way that she looked. And so the style became what she called a suit of armor that allowed her to dress how she wanted the world to see her, dress how she wanted to see herself. Because when we feel that way, we have two options, don't we? We feel insecure within the self, we feel insecure within the body, we feel insecure maybe within the face, whatever it is. So we have two options. What are they? I'm going to take a water break and try to get this around my microphone, and you're going to think of what the two options are. Sorry to cough into my microphone. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. Two options. What are they? We feel insecure within ourselves. We can either, when I'm saying two options, I'm saying two options in regards to our style. We can, number one, do what most people do, hide. We can hide. We can throw big, baggy clothing on, look like a mess, hope nobody notices us. We can hide ourselves. We could do that, number one. There's actually three options. We can do the second option. We can eliminate ourselves from the conversation by making up some kind of reason why we should be eliminated. It's too hard for me. It's too expensive. I'm too old. Somebody like me can't figure it out. My lifestyle isn't conducive to being somebody who works on style. We can eliminate ourselves from the conversation because it feels easier on the ego to say, oh, it's too expensive for me to think about. So instead of learning how to use the clothing I already have, I'm just going to tell myself, oh, I would have to buy all new clothing. And since I can't afford that, I'm just going to eliminate myself from the conversation, even though at the root of why I'm actually saying that is because I'm not feeling good within myself. And I don't want to push myself to figure this out. So those are our first two. Or we have a third option. We have the one that Diane took. We can learn how to make this work to our benefit. We can develop our own suit of armor, something we put on, not to be hidden, but to intentionally decide this is how I want to see myself. This is how I want the world to see me. When I put this on, I feel like the version of myself that I have chosen. So we do not, and I want to underscore this before we dive into the heart of this masterclass, we do not need to be dressing the same as Diane. For a lot of people, definitely myself, I look to Diane as such a style icon. I have some of her photos on my own style blueprint. Does she have the same type of style that I'm going for? No. But is there so much we can learn from what she did and directly apply it to ourselves? Not say, oh, she was a big celebrity and a big movie star and she had an eccentric way of dressing and that is not relevant to me. And so she did nothing that I could learn from. Do we do that? Or do we say the same way that she used style as a tool to positively impact her career, the opportunities she had in her career? I would say how much money she made in her career, how successful she was, the types of people who wanted to work with her, whether it was other actors, directors when she was younger, getting herself in the door because of the way she presented herself, the way she felt about herself, her mental health, her mindset, her joy, her creativity, her self expression, all of it. Can we learn from that, even if we have a different sense of personal style than she had? Obviously, our answer is yes. So, with that, let's dive into our 6 ingredients of a signature style. We're going to look at each one. We're going to look at how Diane did it. And we're going to think about how do we do the same for ourselves? Number one, message. Your message is the story, the intentional story that you craft, that your style tells about you. Diane knew what her message was. This is the clearest thing that we can take. Actually, number one and two are the clearest things that we can take away from Diane. She knew what her message was. She knew what it wasn't, and she did not deviate. She knew what it was. She knew what it wasn't, and she did not deviate. She was not trying to be somebody else. She was not looking to all the other women in Hollywood who looked nothing like her in terms of the way she dressed. She wasn't looking to them and saying, what are they doing? I should do some of that so that I could fit in. She was not doing that. She was radiant because she was totally and authentically herself. She dressed for her only, herself, and everybody knew that. She expected people to rise to where she was or don't come. That's when I think of Diane, that's what I think about. Rise and meet me up here, or not said from judgment, but said from I'm not lowering myself. It's not a better than or worse than, but it's a I'm here. This is what I'm doing. Rise and meet me here. I am not lowering myself to the status quo. I'm not lowering myself to do what everybody else was doing. I have made an unequivocal decision that this is who I am, and I am not deviating from this. That is an infectious quality that a woman can have, isn't it? To see a woman who doesn't deviate, to see a woman where her entire industry, can you see me in that little screen, where an entire industry is going that way and she goes that way, solid in her authenticity. So when we start to think about messaging for you, the mistake that is so often made is the thinking that the message is for somebody else when the message is entirely for you. Again, there's nobody, I can't think of anyone who is a better example of this. Her message was for her. The moment you make the message of who you are, who Jordan is, who her style is, who she is as a business owner, who she is as a teacher, who she is as an educator, who she is as a partner, whatever it is. We talk about so much of this in Pathways because we could go on forever about this. It's not just the style that we think about this in, it's everything. The moment you make who you are, what you're about, and the message you convey about somebody else, doesn't work. Doesn't work. Can't sustain it. Feels like a costume. Feels like you're hiding. Feels inauthentic. It has to be for you. So as you start to think about messaging in your style, we're not thinking about what do other people want to see me as. Well, I'm Diane. I'm a new actress in the entertainment industry. Let me think about what does everybody expect for a woman of my age who's trying to be a lead role in major movies? What do they want me to look like? What message should I be conveying? There's none of that. An unequivocal decision to rise. I want you to keep picturing me holding my hand up here. An unequivocal decision to rise and to not move through her entire career. When we think of the message of your style and the message of who you are as a woman and your certainty within who you are as a woman, we are not moving. I'm going to keep my hand like this for the rest of this masterclass just to demonstrate what it looks like to not move. Can we think about that for you as we start to think about your message? I'm going to warn you that some of the photos of her are going to distract me. This is one of them. I'm probably going to forget what I was talking about because there's these iconic looks. This is one of them. It's a Tom Brown seersucker, gorgeous suit with the shoes. Oh, so, some of these photos are going to distract me. I'm just going to let you know that right now. This is definitely, look how beautiful she is. I think of all my favorite looks of hers, this is up there. This is like in the top 5 for me. Coming back to messaging. Your message is crafted through what we call the personal brand statement. I am not going to teach how to do that extensively. We're going to look at Diane's, but I'm not going to teach you how to do that extensively. If you are in USS, you should have already done this by now. excuse me. I don't know what it is about not sleeping, but it really does something to my throat. You're going to go USS. You need a revisit on this. Module 1, Lesson 6. Personal brand statement is right there. You're not in USS. You have two options where you can learn this extensively. You're going to go all the way down to the very bottom of this page where you're watching this video. There's going to be a link at the bottom. It says Style Store. You're going to click in there. You have two free options. Number one, Master Your Message, a complete course on figuring out comprehensively how to come up with the message of your style. I'm going to teach you in there. Second option, Stylist. I have a typo on my slide. It should say Stylist in Training Workshop. I teach it also in there. Personal brand statement looks like this. Most of us who are watching this video will know exactly what this slide looks like. Personal brand statement says, when people meet me, they experience me as somebody who is, and then we fill in different words that convey the personality of the person self that we're making a message for. Then we say, I use style to help me express my message by choosing clothing that is, and then we use style descriptors to describe the style. So for Diane, I wrote two lists, personality and style. I'm not going to read them all out, but I want you to look through those. Obviously, she didn't tell me this, came up with this myself, but I think we would all agree this is pretty close to her message. You can see on the style column, there's so many words I could use to describe her style. I couldn't fit them all. It's getting very cramped in there. Edgy, audacious, gutsy, architectural, menswear inspired, balanced with femininity. She did that so beautifully. Quirky, whimsical, unique, original, iconic, dramatic, attention to detail. And on the person, I said I wasn't going to read them, and now I'm reading them. Personality side, we have serious, intentional. Man, are those two my favorite words. Serious and intentional. Let me just say, before we move forward, if we think about a serious woman, a woman who conveys seriousness through her story or through her message, whether she's a serious woman or not, we don't know. But we assume when we see a woman whose signature style emits a message of seriousness like Diane's did, we make the assumption that that carries over into every area of her life, don't we? If we look at somebody like Diane and we get a message of seriousness, a woman who conveys herself, she has put time into this. She has thought about this for years, decades, her entire career. She has thought about this. She does not step out without thinking about this. And this is happening at a subconscious level, when we meet a woman, we interact with a woman, and she emits the story of seriousness, the message of seriousness, what do we just automatically assume about the other areas of her life? Let's say we want to date her, or we want to do business with her. We want her to be one of our service providers, or we want to hire her for something. We want her to be in our movie. What do we think about her work ethic? How she would be as a service provider? What do we think she might be as a partner? These are things that happen at a subconscious level, but these are assumptions we make about people based on what they provide us with. Diane provided us with a message of seriousness. I take myself seriously. I take this work seriously. I take my craft seriously. What does that say about that person? Other words I put for her: sweet, playful, intelligent, eccentric, funny, creative, memorable, independent. Whatever our message is, it has to be locked in before we move into number two. Number two is the look of the style. We can only build a look of a style when we have a message to build it off of. We cannot be at ingredient two, like, oh, I'm just going to think about what my style looks like before having any kind of clarity around what kind of message I'm trying to convey. No. Message first, clarity, and then we figure out what does that message look like to us. And this is where we build out the style blueprint, the visual representation of the style, or the map of the style. So in this step number two, we are creating a look that matches your message. So your work here is to come up with, what does your message look like to you? Similar mistake to the one I said a moment ago. Mistake here is in thinking that there is a set standard that we are reaching for in relationship to our chosen message. So it's like thinking, okay, I've chosen the messages of I want people to see me as intelligent and approachable, and then making the mistake of thinking that there is a set standard of this is what approachable style is, without realizing that you are the one who decides what the message looks like to you. And only when it's authentic to you do you emit that to the world, and does the world respond to you in kind. She understood that. So if we think about her message and we think about the look of her style, let's use that as a perfect example of what we're saying. We think about her message, all those words that I just used a moment ago. Then we think about the types of clothes she wears. So she wears suiting, menswear, a lot of tailoring, structured tailoring. What do we usually think about when we think about suiting? What do we think about when we think about, let me do it like this. I'm going to say a word and you tell me who's the first person that comes to mind. So if I say the word pantsuit on a woman, pantsuit, who comes to mind? This is this is going to be another moment for you to think about this. Well, I do water. Who comes to mind when I say pantsuit? Hillary Clinton. For all of us, I think anyways, everybody who's listening to me would think that. When we think of somebody like a Hillary Clinton, we think about the decision to wear the pantsuit. What do we think the message her stylist was trying to convey through her style? Do we not think of the word power? And if we think of the word power and we associate it with the pantsuit, and then we come over to Diane and we see somebody wearing a pantsuit quite often who doesn't have power in her message. Diane was a very powerful woman, but the message that she was conveying was not a message of power, was not a similar message to Hillary Clinton. And yet, we see so many female politicians use the pantsuit to convey power in a masculine oriented field. Diane understood that there was not a pinnacle of a message, meaning there's not a set standard. There's not, we select a word power and everybody who puts on a pantsuit emits power. It doesn't work like that. It's what does the word convey to you? There are a lot of women who would put on a pantsuit, who would put on some of the things maybe that Diane is wearing, who would put on some of the things that Hillary Clinton is wearing, who would even just put on a blazer, and who would feel anything but powerful because it's not their style. They would put it on and they would feel like I'm wearing my grandma's blazer, or like I'm wearing my mother's pantsuit, and now I feel like I'm wearing a costume, and I'm so conscious of the fact that everybody's looking at me wearing something that I would never wear. I don't feel powerful at all in this. So it's not that there's a set standard that we are reaching for. We need to understand at step number 2, what are these words that you have selected in your message? What it is that you want to convey? What do they look like for you? What does power look like to you if you chose that word? If she chose eccentricity, what is eccentricity mixed with intellect, mixed with edgy, mixed with seriousness, mixed with interesting, creative, all those words we chose for her? What do those words look like to her? And then we figure out, what does the style look like? In order to be able to come up with what the style is, we must know what it looks like. In order for us to know what it looks like, we build it out on the style blueprint. She said, right here, read it off of my screen, I love clothes. I love looking at them. I buy all the magazines and I'm constantly cutting pages out of things. I'm constantly cutting pages of things that I find interesting. I'm an addict. Does that not sound like a different version to you of a style blueprint? And do we not start to think that if there is a woman who is as skilled at developing her signature style like Diane, if there's a woman like this who is training herself to see what her style looks like, if she requires the step of herself, do you not think that we require it of ourselves as well? I am saying that, I am stressing this part because there are still so many of us in the community that I watch skip over this step, that feel like, oh, the blueprint's so much work. I don't want to do it. I just want to put a couple things on it. Every time I come to a USS call, Jordan's telling me I don't have enough volume on here. This is so annoying. I don't want to keep doing it. I just want to get to the part where I'm shopping. If Diane was having to train her eye visually, I picture she was very much into architecture. And I'm picturing this beautiful home that she lived in like a room in the home where she had all sorts of vintage magazines and things that she had collected and put onto the walls with like push pins and fabrics and accent details. And I'm imagining this big, like physical blueprint that she had in her home where she was developing what her style looked like. If you desire to change your style or to just improve your style, it is never going to come into your mind without seeing it first. Never. The blueprint solves this challenge, it solves this piece. You need to be building out your blueprint. This is where you build your cohesion, telling, remember, one story of one woman across every part of the blueprint, every section that we look at, every wardrobe category, every lifestyle category, cohesion. Your blueprint is where you train your eye to understand what your style is. Diane didn't just wake up and know how to build cohesion into everything that she wore. She trained her eye to see what it was. Your blueprint is a visual representation of your style, and it answers, when done properly, when executed properly, it answers every question that you have about your style. It is impossible to skip this step and have any kind of lasting success. So I want everyone, when you get off of this call, to go to your blueprint and think about what needs work right now. Where do I need to double down? Where do I need new ideas? This is something we've been talking about in the first couple calls of our cohort. Where do I need to add new ideas? Who am I for this year? Maybe I haven't looked at my blueprint in a while. What needs to change? What do I need to evolve? What needs to be deleted? What do I need to get on here? What do I need to get off of here? Develop the look of the style. Number 3, body. We are obviously not getting very far if we don't know how to take ingredients 1 and 2 and make them work for our body. Said I want to convey this message and have this look, but I don't know how to fit my body. We're not getting very far. Diane knew how to dress her body, but Diane had a relationship with her body, and she's very transparent about this. There's so many interviews of her speaking about this. She had a relationship with her body where she felt like kind of frustrated with my body at times. She has that body where she's got boobs, but she has no bum, no hips. She's so skinny on the bottom. So if we think about the concept of proportions and we think about balancing the upper and lower part of the body, she's fuller on the top than the bottom. She said, "This is the body I have. I don't have anything except my own regular body, right? So what am I going to do?" This is what we said before. What am I going to do? My choices are to either hide, put big baggy clothing on it and hide it. As we all know in USS, that is only going to be a visual compounder that's going to exaggerate the part of the body that we are not comfortable with. It's going to do the opposite of what we want it to do. So she has that as an option. The next option is just tell herself, yeah, I'm never going to figure it out, disqualifying myself from the conversation and not care. Or the third option, the one that she took, learn how to dress the body she has. This is the body I've got. I'm not going to have an excuse. I'm not going to wait till the body changes. I'm not going to tell myself maybe when I'm older, I'm a different shape or I've lost all this weight or whatever it is. I'm not going to tell myself if this happens, then I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out for where I am right now. Knowing that when I understand how to dress the body that I have, I feel exponentially better in my style and emit that through my message. So, fitting your body is going to look like learning the concept of proportions. We must know this. She was a master. We could do a master class in how to fit this type of body for anyone who has this similar body to Diane's. Masterclass. Look at all her pictures. If you look at all her pictures, you will understand the concept of proportions. She was impeccable at dressing this body type, mastering the balance of her proportions. Fitting your body looks like understanding the concept of proportions. We're not getting any, I don't know how many times I need to say this one, people still not believing me. Understanding the concept of proportions, non negotiable. Understanding how and why things work for you. Why does that belt work for Diane in the placement that it's in? Why does the length of pant work on Diane? Why does she always choose a wider leg pant? Why does, when the jacket is longer, it gets belted like that, and when it's shorter, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't? Why are shoulders a certain way? Why are lengths of sleeves a certain way? Why are lengths of pants a certain way? Understanding how and why things work for you and how and why other things do not. Number 3, conveying seriousness through her understanding of fit. A woman who understands how to dress her body, how to fit her body, conveys seriousness, doesn't she? You look at her and you say, wow, that's a woman who knows how to fit her body. She educated herself on how to do that. She didn't run, she didn't hide. She learned how to use what she had. That's a serious woman. Number 4, lifestyle. In order to have a signature style, you must be able to take the style and move it across the lifestyle. Your style has to be conducive to your lifestyle, has to. There's been several questions recently in Pathways about this. So if you want to go deeper in this, go look for them in Pathways. Your style has to be conducive to your lifestyle in order for it to be a signature style, in order for it to work. Let's look at Diane. We see her on the left in track pants, as casual as can be. All the way on the right, at a premiere of one of her shows. In between, not sure what else she was going to, but we've got casual and dressier. The style doesn't change. The signature style, it has to work for your life, has to work for the things that you do, for the places that you go, for the job that you have, for the things that you do with your family, and the message stays the same and the look of it stays the same. You are not, this is the mistake we often make. You are not becoming an entirely different person just because you have to dress up and go to a work function. You're not becoming an entirely different person because you have a, a wedding to go to this weekend and you don't usually dress up and now you have to, and now all of a sudden your style becomes somebody else. That's not a signature style. A signature style is an extension of the identity when done properly. So it's not difficult to adjust it for the lifestyle. When it's rooted in authenticity, when it's rooted in, this is the message I'm conveying, and this is what that message looks like, it translates across all areas of the lifestyle. That doesn't mean it's not adjusted. Like we see Diane right here. I love this outfit. I believe this is from Book Club 2. Diane was played, most people know this, but Diane played like what's the word I'm looking for? Diane was instrumental in her costume design. She would lend her own pieces. That's why, especially like in the latter half of pretty much all of her career, but especially near the end of her life, she was literally just dressed as Diane. She would lend her own pieces to the movie and she would be really involved in the costume design. So when we look at her in book club, it's like, oh, yeah, that's Diane's style. I can put the pictures, even though it's from the movie, and it's a perfect representation of her message and the look of her style, and we see it here. So we see she's in tennis shoes. That's not to say that we wear the same items for everything. It's that the essence of the style stays the same because the person stays the same. Diane doesn't become a different person just because she's going to the Oscars. Diane doesn't become a different person because she's wearing track pants. The story she's telling is always the same. Some of the pieces could change. Maybe she wears tennis shoes instead of high heels, or she wears jeans instead of trousers or skirt. So the pieces change, the message doesn't, and the look doesn't. That's what it means to dress for the lifestyle. Number 5, this is the one she's best at. I can't say that. She's so good at. I already said number 1 and 2 for her best at before, didn't I? Number 5 is she's best at all of them, but 5 is, we have so much to learn from number 5. Existing wardrobe. So there's a few things that we focus on in USS by the time we get to existing wardrobe. The first one is understanding what your wardrobe is comprised of, and this is what is called a signature wardrobe. So your ability to clearly answer the question, what are the key pieces that make your style yours, is what eliminates all of the confusion around what belongs in my wardrobe or what belongs in my closet and what doesn't. So all of these kind of questions that we have around Is this my style or is it not? Do I wear those kind of jeans or do I not? Am I somebody who uses this or do I not? By the time we get to ingredient number 5, this should be clear. Understanding your signature wardrobe means knowing what the key pieces are that belong in your wardrobe in order to get your style. Even if you had never seen Diane Keaton before this masterclass, you would be able to look at all the photos that I'm showing you and you would be able to answer this question. You would say, her signature wardrobe is turtlenecks, collared shirts, blazers, suiting, like coordinated suiting, trousers, sometimes jeans, wider. When I said trousers, it's wider leg trousers for the most part, belts, hats, glasses, jewelry. That's mostly it, isn't it? Signature wardrobe. You your work is to come up with the same list. So yours might not be quite as tight as hers. Hers is really tight. Her style, like when I say tight, it's like there's not a lot of deviation in it. I'm not asking you to be as tight as hers, but I am asking you to be as clear. We can all be as clear as this. So, what belongs in the signature wardrobe in order for you to get the signature style? The next piece is, what are the signature outfits? Once we've come up with the signature wardrobe, we can see what Diane's signature outfits are, can't we? It's pretty easy to come up with the outfits once we know what the wardrobe is. We're not reinventing the wheel every time we get dressed. I want all of my USS students dressed. I always say this, I think it's on the USS sales page, dressed well in under 10 minutes, because by the time we're at ingredient number 5, we've eliminated all of the confusion by this point. There shouldn't be that many questions about this. So, signature outfits meanings take the signature wardrobe, come up with your combinations, interchange different pieces, and replicate. Diane was a master at this. We can all do the same. The thing that she was best at, I think I put it here, yeah. If you take nothing else from her, take this: her use of elevation strategies. So, for all my USS students, you know that by the time we get to ingredient number 5, you are on module number 3. Module number 3 in USS is almost entirely designated to elevation strategies. Why? Because elevation strategies, as we can see through her, will change the entire style game for you if you know how to use them. Elevation strategies are what give you depth, dimension. Those are my 2 favorite words, depth and dimension in the style. So it gives you depth and dimension, and it's what avoids your style from looking just like, I call it flat clothing that looks like a mannequin is wearing something in a store. It transforms flat, basic clothing on the body into stylized looks that have depth. So if we look at just this picture that we have on my screen right here, how beautiful she looks, the use of elevation, like I'm going to say again, if you take nothing else from Diane, take her use of elevation strategies, start to implement this immediately. And by the end of the week, this is why the excuse of I don't have money to work on my style is such a BS excuse. Use the clothing that you have. Take the example of Diane, start to play with elevation strategies. By the end of the week, you will have exponentially improved your style. People will be looking at you and saying, wow, I love your outfit. If we look at just this photo alone, what elevation strategies do we see here? We see a neutral mix and match. So if we think about color, first, color is an elevation strategy. She didn't use a lot of it, but we could still use color as an elevation strategy and play with neutrals. We see it. Let's go back. Look at the neutral mix and match. Look at the elevation strategies in the neutral mix and match. She's doing my favorite color combination, navy and black. Gray hat, neutral mix and match. We have a neutral mix and match here. We have a little bit of print. Print is another elevation strategy. We have what she's best at, the layering and the dimension. So we see the cuff like ever so slightly coming out below the blazer. We see the button down, the collared shirt, buttoned all the way to the top, collars up. We have depth right here. We see the contrast in fabric. So it looks like it's very small on my screen, but I think it's a satin blazer. We see the satin in the fabric contrast to the wool trouser, contrasted to the leather belt with that just fine gold buckle. We see the jewelry, the glasses, the hat. People ask all the time, I don't understand how to accessorize. It's not as complicated as you think it is. You look at Diane and you think, my God, she's so put together. Her use of accessories, you just automatically, because it's done so effortlessly, you think, how does she do that? It looks so difficult. It's so hard, and it's not. It's so simple. But it's narrowing in on what are the elevation strategies that she's using. Let's look at this one. Here we see same thing, little bit of cuff, collar, little bit of depth. Here we've got the hat. We've got that pinstripe in the blazer. Love that blazer with the 3 buttons, and it like does that much higher than my own blazer has on. As I said before, if we think about concept of proportions, shorter blazer when she doesn't have the belt on, shorter blazer, tight through the waist section to define that home baseline. This is from a movie, so this is not her regular kind of trouser that she usually wears. But if we think about the concept of proportions and we think about the pant that she has on here, I'm kind of jumping around a lot, but you guys are very smart. I know that you can keep up with me. If we think about concept of proportions, we think about a woman who needs to fill out the bottom half of her body because it's skinnier than the top half of her body. What kind of pant would that woman not wear? Skinny pant, skinny jean. Never going to see Diane in a skinny jean. Rarely. I mean, I can't say never. Maybe she has. She found a way to do it, but rarely, especially with a short on the top like that. But she's done a straighter trouser. She didn't do her wider leg trouser, which she usually does to balance the proportion. Straighter trouser goes straight into the boot. What does that do? Elongates the bottom half of the body. Usually she chooses that wider leg through the bottom to completely elongate the lower half of the body. Here, because she's in that more tapered pant, I would imagine, I don't know what movie this is from. Somebody might know who's watching me. I would imagine the character in this movie wouldn't have worn that dramatic wide leg pant that she usually wears, so she probably opted for this pant instead. But because she didn't have that elongating effect of the wider leg trouser, she did the boot directly, kept that color line there, didn't break the line, didn't break the leg line, kept the black going, the consistency, kept the length in the bottom, didn't go super tight on the bottom, even though it's a straight leg pant, didn't go super tight on the bottom, balance the proportions, play with the elevation strategies, as I was saying, pinstripe, navy and black, neutral mix and match. She's got that pocket square to contrast the fabric, wool blazer, probably a silk pocket square, like doesn't get better. Glasses, hat, boom, done. If you take nothing from her, take that. So those are your elevation strategies. Color, print. She uses print, a classic print. She doesn't, not going to see her like in a crazy bohemian print. That's not her style. We see her in pinstripe, small polka dot, stripes, plaid, houndstooth, herringbone. We see her in these classic prints. Fabric. This is one of my favorite elevation strategies, fabric juxtaposition. When we see like the stark, like the heavy wool that she might wear with like maybe something satin underneath, or if we put, she wouldn't do this, but if we put lace underneath and we contrasted it with corduroy, that's an elevation strategy. The depth and dimension between the two contrasting fabrics and textures, that's what we want to start to play with there. That's how we take clothing from being flat on the body into stylized. That's how you're going to dress better by the end of the week without spending any money. No more excuses around I can't afford it. You're going to use what you have and figure out how can I mix things together to come up with something different and elevate my style. Jewelry, accessories. She is so good at these. Belt. Everyone who's listening to me, belts in your wardrobe. Belt is like if there's one accessory you're going to use, it's a belt. Doesn't need to be the wide belt that she did. Everyone, belts in your closet. I want to see it. Everyone who's coming to USS calls, belts in everyone's closet. Tights. She's got on like some fishnet tights here, I think. I can't see that clearly. Hats, obviously glasses. She used scarf. I loved in that slide, many back, that picture that she's with Andy Garcia from book club. I love that. The way she styled herself in the first book club movie. I have a couple pictures of that on my own blueprint. She did so much of the silk scarf. like over the long sleeved, that striped long sleeve t-shirt with the silk scarf over top. We wouldn't think of that often, would we? The depth it adds, like the cotton t-shirt with the silk scarf over top. It's so simple and so effortless in the style. Imagine it's just the t-shirt and the pants. It looks nice. Add something simple for depth. It's totally elevated and now it's stylized. So how can you start to think about adding more elevation strategies to give yourself more depth and dimension? Number 6, we're almost done. Shopping. We are only coming to shopping once number 1 to 5 are locked in. We have no business shopping if we haven't done the first 5. Once you've secured numbers 1 through 5, you are so intentional with your style. You have reached such a level of refinement with what you're doing that you're no longer able to impulse buy or over accumulate stuff like we are seeing so many people do. It's never been easier to over accumulate cheap clothing. It's never been easier to go on Facebook and see an ad and feel like, oh, Banana Republic's having 40% off this week. I didn't think I needed anything. Old Navy has shirts for $6. I didn't actually need any shirts. But since this ad is coming up, I'm just going to buy it. By the time you get to this point, if you have done 1 through 5 properly, by the time you get to number 6, you can't do that anymore. I always say this, you know too much. You have put too much work into your style to be intentional with what it's comprised of and what it's not, what's in the closet right now and what needs to be added, that the only thing that you are looking to add is what's missing, you're looking to fill the gaps, and you're looking to have pieces that make sense, that serve a purpose. Diane, I didn't know Diane, so this is a pure assumption, but I would almost stake my life on this. She was not sitting at home looking at Facebook ads, getting sucked into retailing tactics around buy one, get one free. Oh, maybe I should stock up on 10 shirts that look the same as 10 other shirts that I already have in my closet. She wasn't doing that. She spoke a lot about thrifting. She spoke a lot about finding interesting pieces that could fill in her wardrobe that were different than what she already had. She wasn't just buying stuff for the sake of buying stuff because she knew too much. She had done too much work into her style to get to a point that she would come all the way to number 6 and just impulse buy and have throwaway clothing in her closet that didn't serve a purpose. That's not what we're doing. So I'm going to invite you, especially if you are not in USS, if you are not training with me, if you are doing this work on your own, I am going to invite you. I'm not going to know if you listen to my guidance. I'm going to invite you to put a pause on shopping. If you are in USS and this is your first cohort, you already know I gave it to you right away in your welcome module. You are not shopping, and I can monitor you because I'm hopefully going to see you on calls. Please, no shopping. If you are somebody else in USS and you've gone through the entire curriculum and you are really clear on what your style is, you're fine to shop. It's not that I never want anyone shopping, it's that I loathe the idea of anyone buying stuff that they don't need. Why do we need to accumulate so much stuff and let it sit in the closet and not serve a purpose? When you start shopping before you've done ingredients 1 through 5 and mastered them, all you're going to do is buy more of what you're familiar with, more of the same kind of stuff you've already got in your closet, more over accumulation, and then you're going to look in your closet and you're going to say something to yourself to the effect of, have no clothes to wear, even though I've got a closet filled with things that I can see right here, and I don't want to wear any of them. We only end up there when we haven't done 1 through 5. When we've done 1 through 5 and we've got them locked in, then we are intentionally adding, we're thinking about, what are the gaps in my wardrobe? Look at the neutral mix and match. I'm not looking at Jack Nicholson, although he's doing a neutral mix and match too. I love this movie. Something's got to give this. I think that's my favorite Diane Keaton movie. So beautiful. When we are getting to the point of shopping, I am so abundantly clear on what it is that I need that I am intentionally seeking that out. I'm not going to the store haphazardly, just buying everything in sight. Oh, J. Crew has something on sale, so I'm just going to buy everything that they have just for the sake of buying something and spending money. We're not doing that. I'm certain that Diane was not doing that. She was intentionally curating her wardrobe, bringing pieces in that made sense. It's not that she didn't buy stuff, it's just she wasn't buying stuff for the sake of just buying. Which brings us, my beautiful friend, to the very end of our masterclass. Before we wrap up, I see my last slide with all my beautiful pictures of her. I'm going to show it to you in a second. My heart started to feel like quite emotional as I come to the end of this. I want everything that we've been speaking about here to be a reminder, no matter where you are. You've been with me for years. This is your first class. I don't care. I want this to be a reminder that we can look to somebody like Diane and we can know that everything that she was able to do, we are able to do also. And my hope is that as we've walked through the process, you're able to see that. It's easy to look at somebody like Diane and say, oh, I couldn't do that. Her style is so eccentric. It's so bold. So I could never do that because I just have a regular style where I wear jeans and tennis shoes. Now I'm speaking about myself. I wear jeans and tennis shoes and like I could never do that because look what she's doing and I'm not doing something like that. My hope is that by the time we come to an end of a masterclass like this, that you are able to see that the process is the exact same for you. And when you are able to follow the process, you are able to experience the same results as her. Will your style look the same? No. Will you be shopping at the same places as her? Maybe, if you have the same budget as her. I won't be. I don't have a suit from Tom Brown. I don't, that's not in my budget right now. I don't have a suit from Tom Brown, but I can apply the same process that she applied. When you apply the same process that she applied, you end up with a very powerful tool that you will be able to lean on for the rest of your life. Diane leaned on her ability to present herself as she wanted to present herself. She leaned on her ability to control the narrative. Throughout her entire career, you are able to do the same thing. It comes down to, we said it at the beginning, intentionality, seriousness, conviction, choice, ownership in the decision. The world is going to see me this way. I am going to see myself this way. It comes down to holding your attention on this work. Not, I'm going to dabble in it for this masterclass and then I'm going to forget about it and then complain that I don't feel good about my style next week. It's holding your attention on it. Attention on it means trying to make outfits, implementing what we're talking about, doing your style blueprint, taking photos of what you're doing, documenting your journey, getting on calls with our community, posting your photos into our Facebook group. That's how you hold your attention on it. When you have your attention on something, whether it's your health, your business, your money, your style, your relationship, when you have your attention on something, whoosh, it gets better, doesn't it? Because you're focused on it. When you take your attention off of it, especially in the beginning when you're just learning it, you say, oh, I'm going to come to a masterclass and learn something, then I'm going to completely remove my attention. I'm never going to sign up for USS, but I'm not going to come to the calls. Maybe I'll watch some of the curriculum, but I'm not going to contribute in the Facebook group. That's not attention on it. Attention on it means showing up in the same way that Diane showed up. And then it means an unequivocal decision. Oh, I haven't done this since the beginning, to rise and stay rather than hide whoosh, and accept mediocrity or come down to the status quo. There's nothing wrong with the status quo. So if you feel like you're similar to me, I have a very regular style, very everyday. I wear sneakers all the time. I don't go to any crazy places like Diane went to. Not presenting on whatever stage it is that she's presenting on. I have a very practical style. So status quo might be a little bit more okay for me, but it's still about what is my message? What have I decided for myself? What do I take ownership of and then stay there, even if the style looks more regular? That's what we take away from this. So this was the slide that I was starting to feel emotional about. My beautiful friend, that brings us to the end of our masterclass. And to say just the biggest thank you to somebody so beautiful like Diane, who is such an example to all of us of what is possible through this work, what is possible when we show up for ourselves, what is possible through coming home to our own authenticity. This is No better example for me. So with that, I will say, if you are in USS, get on a call. If you are alumni and you didn't opt into this cohort and you watch this masterclass and you realize I need to put my attention back onto this in order for this to go back to where it was before, just send me an email, put you into the cohort. If you are in this cohort, there are several of you that I have not met yet, that have not been on a call with me. If you are new in this cohort, get your butt on a call. Our next call is on Thursday. Get yourself on that call on Thursday. If you are not in USS, but you are serious about doing this work, you are serious about producing results, get your butt in USS. We're working till the end of the year. And if you are not in USS and you feel like right now, for whatever reason, I can't join, cannot do this work with you, then you do the work yourself and you hold yourself accountable. It's not that you can't hold yourself accountable. You can, but you keep your attention on it. You find a way. How am I going to learn? Who's going to teach me? Where am I going to find the resources online? How am I going to educate myself? And then how am I going to hold myself accountable? What's my system going to be? How am I going to make sure I'm getting dressed all the time? How am I going to try out different elevation strategies? How am I going to document my journey? How am I going to make sure I keep trying? How am I going to come up with my message and then develop my blueprint around it? How am I going to do all those things? Wherever you are, I want everyone to learn in the way that feels best for them. Wherever you are, you figure out a way that feels best for you, and then you show up for yourself, as Diane did, as we've seen here through her example, and you show yourself what's possible when you do this work. My beautiful friend, I love you. I hope to see many of you on Thursday. If I don't see you, I'm sending you so much love, and I hope everything is so good with you right now.